to those of you who watched yesterday's video and heard me go on and stay on the positive tip, right? And say that we can't be mean to Democrats. We got to stop calling them names. We got to bring the country together, right? Be nice to your neighbors. Be empathetic of their situation. I think that's the right word. You know, be understanding of their situation. Bring us all together, right? Forget all of that. Forget everything I said yesterday, because today we're talking about politicians. The DNC, the Democratic National Convention, kicked off yesterday, or as I have come to call it, the dumb nincompoops collection. And man, is there a lot to talk about. There's some more stuff happening also as far as the developments with Kevin Kleinsmith go. The first indictment, the first arrests being handed out by the Durham criminal investigation. You know, the one where everybody says nothing is happening. So stick in there. We're going to dive into that. A lot to cover today. I'm Jared. This is RedRacer Video. As you can tell by my shirt, former car vlogger. Now I'm an independent citizen journalist, and I can do that thanks to you, the viewers. Your donations through Patreon, PayPal, and Venmo. There are 3 links in the description down below. Your donations make this possible. I have made this my work. You all have made it possible with your donations to the channel. So thank you so much, everyone who has done that. Also, RedRacerVideo.com. That's RedRacerVideo.com. If you want to support and buy our unmasked shirts that we have, there is a new design coming that I think you guys will like soon. And I believe I'm picking shirts up today. Thought I'd have them yesterday, should have them today. So thank you once again to everybody that's already supporting. 3 links down below if you want to do that. Shirts down below that. Here we go. So Democratic National Convention yesterday kicked off. I told you we were going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the Kevin Kleinsmith stuff. And there's some things that AOC said that left me absolutely just baffled that she would say them. So really quickly, don't leave the video after this, but I honestly could have probably just made this video really, really short by saying the following. This goes for AOC, this goes for Michael Obama, and the rest of the Democrats that got an opportunity in the Hollywood, and just anybody who got an opportunity to have some camera time to try and convince our nation that it's terrible and that we need correction and that Donald Trump's the bad guy, right? This would have been my response to everything that they said. What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. You guys know that one? That's a movie quote, one of my favorite ever. And I kid you not, we could have just left it at that because there was so many boneheaded things that got said. But I want to dissect a little bit of it. Big shout out to Dan Bongino, link in the description if you guys don't watch Dan. Hour-long videos. I can't always be there for the full hour, but good information. An X22 report in the link in the description as well. Absolutely packed full of good information. But I heard some stuff on X22. Got a little bit of Dan's video this morning before I started mine that actually cemented what I already had planned on talking about. I love when that happens. If I ever think I'm going to say something that's kind of impactful, and then I hear Dan or X22 or one of the other people, one of the bakers or somebody that I really respect say it, it's always an indicator to me that I was probably on. So when I heard Dan talking about this too, I knew that this was probably at least somewhat worth mentioning. So we're going to dive into a little bit of the stuff that got said. And there's a lot that, in fairness, a lot of what was said was obvious. We knew it was coming. All they did was attack the president the whole night, right? That's really all it was. We didn't hear anything new. They are out of ammunition. And to everybody that maybe came away from that frustrated, and I think it's a lot of you, because a lot of people in my inbox, a lot of people in the DMs, in emails, everywhere is talking about things that were said and how frustrated they were with the things that Michelle Obama said. And then I've had people bring up some of the things that AOC has said. And I get it, right? It's really frustrating to listen to these same morons keep spouting off the same idiotic talking points over and over and over. Remember, though, they know that these things work. As much as we think that they're stupid, it's called echo chamber tactics, and they keep doing it because there are people that get very little, and this is going back again to yesterday's video, but there's research that shows the average man or woman that has kids and a job and a family doesn't have the ability to spend RedRacer video time 12, 13, 14 hours a day some days researching this stuff. They get 10 minutes to catch a little bit. So in that 10-minute snippet, all they hear, and I guarantee you everybody heard yesterday that relies on mainstream media, were a couple of little clips of Michael Obama's little speech that she gave, or little recording that they played of hers. And it was, again, a lot of the same, just stuff we've already heard. And again, them running out of ammunition, them running out of information, and them having to repeat the same talking points that they had to use during 2016, and them having to use the same talking points that they've used during these last 4, 5, 6 months during the pandemic. Remember something. A, they're out of ammunition. B, they're going on and talking about how we need to save the country because it's falling apart right now. 5, 6 months ago, this country wasn't falling apart. This country was setting record after record after record. Economic record, unemployment record, VA approval ratings, meaning our vets were happy with their doctors, Black unemployment, Asian unemployment, Hispanic unemployment. We had prison reform. We had all of these spectacular things that have been happening ever since our president went in. But all we've ever heard is negative from the media. And all we've ever heard in the last 5, 6 months negative from the media is how the country's falling apart. The country's falling apart right now, and it's actually not falling apart. Our recovery has been phenomenal. The economy is already really, really firing back. We're still struggling with some unemployment because Democrats have cities locked down. But things are actually going incredibly well. They're going well. But all of the talking points, everything that the Democrats were able to say on TV last night or in the last 5, 6 months, all of the things they're attacking about our country are the things about the country that they have done. Michelle Obama even went as far as Mike, whatever you want to refer to him, she as, even had the guts to bring up the cages again. Kids in cages. Her husband built those cages. His administration put those cages in. They locked those children up. There's even interviews where you can see Barack Obama walking past the cages with kids in them. Guys, they literally just get on camera and get somebody to give like a real heartfelt speech where she sounds like America's mom, and she just, there's inflection in her voice, and she gives those real convincing facial expressions. And then she spouts off with a whole bunch of horse manure that is just lies. And people are just lapping it up. And when I say people, I mean the people that are still fed off the mainstream media tit. Because, man, the mainstream media loves them some Michelle Obama, and she could do no wrong, right? So let's dive into just a couple of the minutiae. Let's get a couple of quick specifics, and then I want to move on to my next person that I'm going to pummel. I have to say this. Everything that they talked about, everything Michelle keyed in on, is stuff that would probably have been impactful to all of America had they not been awake for the past 5 or 6 years. Meaning, if everybody would have just fallen asleep right before our president became president, and then they woke up to this speech from Michelle Obama, and they still were remembering her husband's or his husband's America, then all of the stuff that Michelle said would have been amazing. It would have actually been powerful, and we would have believed it. Funny thing is, everything she talked about, again, was stuff that her husband did and that our current president has fixed. She went on to tell us that we should vote for Joe Biden because he's a man that's guided by faith. Listen to this. Joe Biden, a man guided by faith, a man that bragged on TV about extorting or forcing Ukraine to fire a prosecutor that was investigating his son's company that was embezzling money. This man, guided by faith. Same man who is in favor of late-term and after-birth abortions. I don't remember any of the faiths, and I'm not an expert at religion for what it's worth, but I can't remember ever hearing about any of these faiths endorsing late-term or any abortion for that matter, let alone after the birth, where they would just leave them on a table screaming until they died. But this man is guided by faith, Michelle Obama tells us. She even went on to tell us that he knows what it takes to revive an economy and to beat back a pandemic. Really quickly here, let's just, for argument's sake, let's consider for a second that while Joe Biden and her husband, or his husband, Barry Soetoro, otherwise known as Barack Obama, was in office, we had a pandemic. It was H1N1. I don't know how many of you guys remember that one. H1N1, though, 61 million cases. Okay? 61 million. real quickly, just for comparison's sake, right now with COVID-19, I think we're approaching the 5 million mark. So more than 10 times the cases of H1N1 under Barack Obama's administration, under their oversight. And as far as bringing back an economy, Team Obama and Biden, they oversaw the worst economic recovery in American history after the 2008 recession. The worst economic recovery in American history. Unemployment stayed terrible. All of our manufacturing jobs were sent overseas. My mom, who has now passed away, my late great mother, man, I miss her dearly. She worked for Intel though. And she worked for Intel when they first came out here to Utah. She lost her job at the end of it all. As she was battling cancer, she lost her job at Intel because they outsourced to India. So going back again to the foolish, moronic things that the Obama family says, our country was in horrible shape under her husband and Joe Biden. In every single way. They swore to us that all of our jobs couldn't come back, that manufacturing was dead and there was no magic wand that could bring it back. Our president brought it back. Donald Trump brought that back. Our country was absolutely firing on all cylinders. The only thing wrong with this country was the media's incorrect and negative coverage about the president and the things he was doing. Until I mean Barack Obama's administration, sent $3.7 million to Wuhan. Bill Gates, everybody got into bed together. They released a virus. They put it on this country. They attacked the country so that during an election year, they could say that our country was in terrible shape and it was falling apart, because prior to that, they knew that there was no way in hell they were going to get people to vote Donald Trump out because our country was just banging. But now they can say that people are dying, there's riots, there's chaos, racism, yada, yada, yada. All created by them, all created methodically and purposefully by them for this election year to remove Donald Trump because their coup attempt didn't work and they're all going down. Really quick plug for Dan Bongino, link in the description. If you guys don't watch Dan, I caught a couple of minutes of his video today before throwing mine up, which cemented what I wanted to talk about today. Anytime I'm going to make a video and then I happen to catch a little bit of Dan Bongino or X22 report, links in the description for both those channels, Dan Bongino and X22, packed full of good information. But anytime I'm going to make a video and then I go watch one of their videos and they're keying in on anything that I'm talking about, I know I'm at least probably somewhat over the target. So thank you, Dan, for an amazing video. I didn't actually get to watch much of it. I watched like the first 10 minutes and then I had to start mine. But one of the things Dan said, and I'm going to disagree with Dan a little bit here. I'm not disagreeing, but maybe exposing another thought that maybe Dan didn't cover. Dan said that, and he mentioned this, and this is something I hadn't actually considered prior to him saying it. I think I'd seen some people on Instagram say it, but I hadn't put a lot of thought in it. At no point in Michael's little pre-recorded thing did she mention Kamala Harris. I don't know how you say her name right, and I don't care if I said it right, but at no point did she mention Kamala Harris. Why is that? Dan mentioned that it's because that video was pre-recorded. They made that video prior to the announcement that Kamala Harris was actually going to be there, right? I think Dan didn't also carry that one step further. I think there's two more reasons why Michelle Obama, Michael Obama, whatever you want to call he or she, another reason that it wasn't brought up. I think Michelle Obama still very much intends to enter the race. Shot out X22 report, a large part of why I think that, but there's a whole bunch of other reasons I think that too. First female, first black female, even though she has a wang. First transgender. There's a whole bunch of reasons why her entering, I think a lot of people look at like, oh, Michelle Obama will never run because, you know, we know that Michelle Obama's a tranny or whatever. We think Michelle Obama's a tranny or whatever. I think what you want there, right? And this goes to Franco, my dude Franco. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram at RedRacer Video, all the people in the bakery, you got to be following them. But Franco brought something up that I thought was very, very powerful. And I want to key on this a little bit also. If Michelle Obama were to enter the race, it'd be hard, right? It'd be really hard for anybody to say anything because the social justice police would be all over us. The second we get on her about being transgendered, if that's what comes out, she'll be protected by that, or he'll be protected by that. You won't possibly be able to go after that because now that's like a social justice thing, right? Everybody has to agree with that now. It used to be just tolerate it. Now it's you have to agree with it and endorse it and want them to be your president even. But again, I think there's a whole bunch of reasons why Michelle Obama didn't mention Kamala Harris in her little rant that she did. That's just my 2 cents on it. Something to consider, something to think about. We're going to move on to the next person that I want to bag on a little bit, and then we don't have a whole bunch more to go here. AOC. You guys probably heard that AOC won her race, so she's not going anywhere. I think she's staying in government. I believe she just came up again in primaries. I could be completely misreading it because I've got a lot of information now, and let me know if I screwed that one up. But she's back. She's here. And she's up, giving a lot more of her genius ideas. She's really smart, right? She has an economics degree from a university, which we all now know means, that she has to be smart, right? She actually said this. This is comical, and this plays into the whole mail thing. You guys have all heard of the USPS stuff. Donald Trump's trying to steal steal the election. They're trying to steal it through mail, which they clearly are. They're trying to send out millions of ballots, just automatically send out millions of ballots. There has been countless times now where we have seen why this will not work. It is not the same as absentee balloting. They are just trying to steal an election through the mail. So AOC's got this idea to save the United States Postal Service, right? In her infinite wisdom, this was AOC's idea. And I had to actually go and find this for myself, because when I heard about this, I truly didn't believe that she said this. There's a lot of misinformation going around. A lot of people send us videos and go, man, hurry and post this. People have got to see this. They're sending us bad information, and they're intentionally trying to get us to slip, because they know the second they get us to get caught slipping, that we lose all credibility and the movement really suffers. So all of us have to be careful what we post, right? So I went and made sure that AOC actually said this, and she did. I didn't write down the minutia, but AOC's plan, I watched it, I heard it with my own ears. Her idea to save the post office, because they bleed money left and right, mostly because they just ship stuff for Amazon for next to nothing, and everybody uses email now. But this was AOC's brilliant idea for saving the post office. She just thinks we all just need to buy stamps again. If people just start buying stamps again, there's some money. And by all means, I would imagine that'd be a lot. So that was her idea. People just start buying stamps again. She went a step further, though, because that idea would be stupid, right? That idea alone would be dumb. There's no way she would just say that, because that'd be stupid. So she added to that. So let me explain to you why it makes a little more sense here. It doesn't, but I'm going to try to explain to you why it does. She went on to say that she would actually, she would do this. She would put in the work. She's going to get a team to put this together. But she thinks we should have a new, national pen pal program. So they're going to help us find talking points. So they'll actually, serve us up with, things that we should write to our friends about, and then openly start discussing things. Got $1 million that says that the stuff that they would entice people to discuss would be things about how people hate Donald Trump. But that's another thing. I don't want to go filling in blanks here, but she legitimately thinks that the way to save the post office is just to get people to start writing letters again. Buy stamps again. Can we just really quickly explore why we don't write letters? Why we don't buy stamps? It's called the internet. It's called email, electronic mail. It's free. You hit the send button, and immediately the person has it. It's amazing. It's efficient. It's free. Why in hell would we go back to sending letters and buying stamps? AOC. Oh man, I hope somebody else out there finds humor in that. Sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying. But yeah, that actually happened. Really quickly here, this will kind of be the closing of the video. I want to touch a little bit on something else that we touched on the other day, and I'm still getting a lot of stuff from people, and I'm still seeing a lot of people posting, nothing's happening, where's the big arrest, blah, 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 blah. In fairness, I get it. We've all been waiting a long time, and we are getting close to the election. I get it. It's crunch time. People are nervous. I'm with you. I want to see it too. But let's circle back to a couple of days ago. In the Durham, again, people keep calling it a probe. It is a criminal investigation. It's not a probe. They were probing. They found a whole bunch of errors in FISA warrants. They found a whole bunch of information that made it pretty clear, okay, we're no longer probing. This is a criminal investigation. Kevin Kleinsmith, FBI attorney, the first indictment handed down, will be pleading guilty to forging an email. He changed an email to fraudulently obtain a warrant on Carter Page. I told you guys all that the other day. We're not going to beat that horse again, right? There's something that doesn't get talked about in all of this. I mentioned yesterday, they didn't just like arrest the guy and then he said, okay, I did it. This has been years now in the works, right? However long the Durham probe's been going on, I don't even know. But this guy, I guarantee you, has been in back and forth and in discussions with the Durham team this whole time. He just finally pled guilty. This is a thing. This is official. Obamagate's real. It happened. We know it happened. The media didn't even cover that. Do you guys know that? I think there was only like one. I think CNN or somebody gave it like 22 seconds, but MSNBC, NBC, ABC, none of the other networks even covered this. Remember, that's all they did, breathless coverage of Russiagate and the whole scam. And when Carter Page got, when they were interviewing him, all we heard about was Carter Page, Trump's foreign advisor. He's a Russian agent. That's all we heard, right? And a lot of stuff that doesn't get talked about. And this is one of the things that I saw this on an interview with Carter Page. And I didn't even myself know this. And I hadn't paid attention to it. Why? There's just a lot to pay attention to. Carter Page, they lied to get the warrant. He was a CIA informant. Kevin Kleinsmith altered the email to say he wasn't a CIA informant. So the FISA court didn't know. They approved the warrant. There were 3 renewals of that warrant. 3 renewals of Carter Page's warrant. Not the Trump campaign's warrant. Carter Page's warrant. That's how they did all this. That's how they started it. 3 renewals of the warrant. There was never even one charge filed against Carter Page. Not one. Never ever did they ever charge Carter Page, the guy that they claim they started this whole thing over. They say it had nothing to do with Trump. It was Carter Page. Right. So this Carter Page guy has still never been charged, never been in any trouble whatsoever. But we went on with the Mueller probe, 2 years, $33 million, blah, 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 blah. Carter Page never even charged. Tell me some of you listening to this video think that that's weird. Please help me in the comments. And I know I forgot to do the YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, all that stuff before you go. But tell me you see this. Not even a charge. Wake up, Democrats. To the rest of you out there that are still hanging on to hope for your party, it is over. There are only 2 reasons why you would still align yourself with the Democratic Party at this point. 2 reasons, and 2 reasons alone. You are either evil and part of the problem and you're in on it, and you stand to gain something, or you stand to lose a lot here in the next few months. Or you're misinformed. There's only 2 ways. There are only 2 ways I can logically think of that people would still align themselves with the Democratic Party. Neither of these things will be an adequate excuse when this is all over. Just know that. It's not going to be an excuse to look back and be like, oh, but Donald Trump was just such a jerk. People are not going to take that as an excuse. They're not. I'm sorry, folks. We're going to look back on this. This is biblical. These are historical times, and they will be looked back upon. And I do all of this for 2 reasons. Having said that, having put the gravity of this situation into context, let me tell you why I do this thing. 2 reasons. 2 reasons I stand here in front of a camera and talk to myself every day for 10 to 25 minutes. 1, I love my babies. They deserve a good place to live. Number 2, when all this is said and done and we look back, where do you want to be able to say you stood? Think about that for a minute. That's deep. With all that's going on, a guy got kicked in his face on the street and died. I believe he's now died. It's being reported. I haven't confirmed, but that gentleman that I talked about in yesterday's video that got kicked by the security guard that works for the security company that Kamala Harris endorses, all that guy did was help somebody that was getting beat up on a street, and he was attacked and killed, beat to death. Do you want to say you stood with those people? When all this is said and done, when we look back, do you want to say you stood with Black Lives Matter and Antifa? I know that in the beginning, the Black Lives Matter sounded nice, but we all know the truth now. And if you don't know the truth, get educated. They are a terrible, terrible group of people with not one positive thing that comes from them. Not one. Not one. And all of their money goes to the Democratic National Committee or to the Biden campaign. Look it up. Find out where the money's going. Do you want to say that you stood with the people who ignored human trafficking? Is that where you want to say you stood? Not me. I know that. I know that I'm going to look back and say that I stood in the face of persecution for what I believed in. I'm going to be able to say that I did not kneel. When the celebrities and the athletes and all the cool kids were telling me that I was crazy and that I was a conspiracy theorist and that I was just one of these kooks and that I'm a racist and a homophobe and a bigot and just all these stupid things that could not be farther from the truth. I'm going to be able to say that I stood. I did not kneel. I stood firmly with my fellow Americans of all shapes, sizes, colors, ideologies, all of it. I stood with good and I denounced evil because that is where we are at. That is what we are up against. Remember that together we are unstoppable. We have to wake the others. Please use your voices. Every day I get messages from people saying, man, I just red-pilled somebody. Nicely done. You guys, I know a lot of you came to this channel and have told me in comments and in messages and have sent me cards in the mail, P.O. box in the description if you guys are P.O. box people or if you still do mail. By the everyone who donates, one more time, Patreon, PayPal, Venmo, everybody that helps me with the channel, almost always is accompanied with a heartfelt message. I'm helping wake people up. You're helping wake people up. I am no different than you. I'm no different. 3 months ago, I had almost nobody paying attention to me, and I just started standing up for what I believed in. People are getting on board, and people will get behind you. Yes, you'll lose a couple of friends. Yes, it will strain some of your relationships. But what is worse? Losing some fake friends, maybe getting some of the family members away from you don't actually love that much anyway, or not having your freedom, not being able to go to work, not being able to go to church, having to wear a mask every day, being forced to get vaccinated, being forced to get microchipped. Which is worse? A little temporary discomfort to have some uncomfortable conversations right now? Or just keep your head down, just keep ignoring everything, just keep taking the easy route and say, I don't have the time to deal with these things. It's time to stand up. It's time to buck up. I love you all. Like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Leave a comment before you go. If you saw value, support the channel. I love you all. See you tomorrow. Jared RedRacer. God bless America.